Well, it just happened in the last couple of hours. Nintendo have officially dropped a first look trailer of their upcoming console, the Nintendo Switch 2. What you're looking at right now is footage from that trailer, so let's talk about everything we know so far about the console. The trailer shows us the original Nintendo Switch, originally launched in 2017, growing and morphing into a Nintendo Switch 2, showcasing some of the improvements and new features of the new console. Firstly, it's bigger. It appears to be roughly a third bigger than its predecessor in size, and that means, of course, that the Joy-Cons will be bigger too. I think this is going to make the controller more comfortable for the average player, especially when playing with a single Joy-Con horizontally, and you can see here the buttons look a lot bigger compared to the original Switch Joy-Cons, which had really tiny buttons that could be slightly awkward to use. In certain shots, it also appears that there's less of a border around the screen, so they really are maximizing that screen usage on the front of the system, and there appears to be an extra USB-C port, which is going to give us some versatility when it comes to connecting up controllers and charging. The console appears to be a little bit thicker and has this U-shaped stand that seems more sturdy and able to create some more tilting angles, very useful if you're on a plane or train or just generally on the move. So these are all some really nice enhancements and upgrades, but what about the more major features that are really going to set this apart from the original Switch, Switch Lite and the OLED? Well, firstly, look how the Joy-Cons lock into the console. This was a heavily rumoured feature that, again, has made it to the final product, and that is going to enable us to magnetically snap the Joy-Cons back into position on the main console as opposed to sliding them in. Another feature that is going to make this console feel a bit more modern and seamless to use. Speaking of the Joy-Cons, look at this part of the trailer, where they slide in a tracking motion across a smooth surface. We don't know for sure exactly what this is yet, but it's likely suggesting at a kind of mouse sensor capability, which would add a cool new dimension to the controller and would open up some great opportunities for game developers. The curves of the console appear less square and a bit harsher, which I think gives it a slightly different feel, and the dock again features that nice curved shape. Color scheme wise, it obviously seems like we are looking at the base launch version here, and they've incorporated that same blue and orangey red aesthetic of the original Switch Joy-Cons, but they've made it far more subtle with just an accent around the joysticks on either side, and on the magnetic part of the console, which is going to be concealed in docked mode. I think as time passes and they inevitably release some special edition color schemes of Switches and so on, making these joystick accents backlit with a neon vibe, perhaps even with customizable light colors, would be amazing, as long as it didn't have a drastic effect on battery life. But for now, it seems as though the colors are just part of the Switch 2 material. Games wise, the only game that was teased was a brand new Mario Kart game. Now, whether that's Mario Kart 9 or some sort of new version of an older Mario Kart, we don't quite know yet for sure, as this was a shadow drop and they haven't followed up with too many written details at this stage. But watch this space, because between now and the Nintendo Direct, which is happening on April the 2nd, I imagine we'll have some more details on Mario Kart and some other Switch 2 games trickling through. The logo is the same as before, keeping that Switch icon, but shifting it to the left and putting a big 2 above the logo text, so a moment of silence for those, including me, who thought that Super Switch would be a cooler name. But a numerical sequel to a console is something that Nintendo have never done. And no, the 2DS and 3DS don't count in my opinion, so this is a cool first for Nintendo and a clear sign that they want to retain that Switch branding, something which is very strong, and I've spoken about that many times on the channel, so that they can continue building a library of games, including their Virtual Console and Classic System library, without alienating the original Switch audience, as Nintendo have confirmed that this will be backwards compatible with Switch 1 games, which was always the best play due to the Switch being the second best selling console in history. The console will also feature exclusive titles only compatible for Switch 2, and there is some small print as well that certain games may not be fully supported or compatible, but I expect the vast majority of games, especially the big popular ones, will be. And though it remains to be seen, some of those games may get Switch 2 exclusive updates, making them look and run smoother. So great news for Scarlet and Violet players, potentially. 4K output has been rumored, but we haven't had any official confirmation just yet. So stay tuned for that. Nintendo are doing hands-on events in mid-April, seemingly around the world, so check your country's Nintendo website for the details if you want to go. They look to be happening just over a week after the Nintendo Direct on April the 2nd, so we are officially in the hype season. Be sure to subscribe for Nintendo and Pokemon content. Legends ZA, I'm sure, is going to be announced with gameplay and a proper trailer on Pokemon Day on the 27th of Feb, so hit the subscribe button and we'll be covering all the big speculation and talking points around that. Hit the like button if you're excited about the Switch 2, let me know any thoughts about it down below, and until next time, love you gang.